What's going on, guys? I want to show you guys something that I am pretty pumped about. What you see in the background here is something I've been waiting for months. It's a 2024 F-150 single cab short bed.
I know a lot of y'all probably thinking, well, that ain't got no long bed. It ain't always the length that matters.
I just picked her up, special ordered it over from our friends at Link Ford over there. Big thanks to them. Actually, they've always great about getting vehicles ordered in for us. Just awesome group of guys over there. So thanks again to the Link Ford for hooking me up on this thing. But yeah, no, it's 24, like I said, F-150. I wanted to do something. They're starting to become more popular, and it's just a cool platform. I think Ford does still. GM, it's hard to get anything like this. Ram, they're out of the V8 stuff. So Ford it is. Yeah, I wanted to do something just a little bit different than we normally see around here. Quite frankly, might be the smallest truck I think I've ever drove. It's kind of about the size of a Ford Ranger, honestly. It's weird. Single cab, weird. But I got big plans for it. Like I said, 5-liter, 4-wheel drive. Doesn't weigh a whole terrible, amount of weight. But anyways, what we kind of want to do is, like I said, it's my personal truck. What I kind of want to do is, obviously, it's going to be a build. We're going to do a few things. I want to show everybody kind of what the differences are in the different things that you do, to your truck. And we're going to kind of film all the different things, what they did, maybe what we gained, what we lost as far as like horsepower, speed, sound, all that stuff. So I think it'll be pretty exciting. You're definitely going to want to stay tuned in. Biggest things, I guess, just to give you guys an idea on what we plan on doing with it, is first things first, as you can tell, it looks absolutely hideous. I mean, this thing is ugly. I mean, oof, it looks like something's broken. Look at her. She's just nose dragging on the ground, looks like it's sniffing something. So we got to get rid of that. That is literally number one. Actually, I take it back. That's number two. Number one is, when ordering these trucks, there's a few different trim packages you can go with. But honestly, especially for me, like what I was looking to do with it, is to go with an XL package. Plain Jane, cheap as she comes. Got to save money for the mods, right? So as cheap as it comes, and actually it worked out because the XL trucks come with painted bumpers instead of the chrome like the XLTs. So a lot easier to paint match. And that is step one. We're going to bring her over to the body shop over there and have them paint us up some bumpers. Hopefully play around with some other trim pieces to be able to paint match and get the paint kind of looking how I want, so it doesn't look like I'm heading into work, when I drive it. But then yeah, step two, lowering kit. You see us do lifts all the time, but you don't ever see us do lowering kits. We've done some suspension work with cars, but as far as trucks are concerned, we never lower trucks. It's just not a big thing around here, but I love it. I love the way they look, honestly. So that was the plan with this. It's gonna get slammed. It's getting tires and wheels. So what we plan on doing is we're gonna do a little test run, because I want to show people, the differences, even just stock engine wise, what suspension alone can do. Because these trucks, they were meant to be work trucks. They handle a little bit loose. They don't necessarily drive the way you might want it to for what we're looking to do. So like I said, show you the differences. We're going to slam it. Actually, we're going to run it stock on the Dragy, see what it'll do 0 to 60. I'm going to run her down some curvy roads, see how tight we can keep it. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty loose. Obviously, it's a truck, and we're going to change all of that. As soon as we slam it tires and wheels, we're going to do another Dragy 0 to 60 and try to see what we can get out. If we pick up anything 0 to 60 times, just suspension, not touching anything else. If we do, sweet. If we don't, well, then we know. Didn't pick up nothing. Then we're going to go hit the same turning road, see how much better it handles with the full suspension setup that I plan on doing on it. So that'll be kind of cool. After that, what I want to do is your, plain Jane everyday mods that your everyday people will do to their everyday trucks, which is intake and exhaust. We're going to throw them on there so you guys can hear sound differences. Also, again, do another Dragy. see what maybe the differences are there just with intake and exhaust, because I know a lot of people are curious, like, what do you gain? You know, is it going to be a lot? I don't know. We're going to find out, and we're going to show you guys all the results. So I think it'll be pretty cool. After all that's said and done, and I work a little OT, save up a little coin, we're going to, she's going to get some extra power. We'll just put it that way. Hopefully this winter, early next spring, we're going to have this thing in tip-top shape, and let's just say it'll be making hopefully double, well, more like hopefully triple the power that it does now. Alrighty guys, just gonna fire this thing up here, give you a quick sound clip of what she is bone stock, and let me tell you what, this thing is stock AF.
Does that thing even make any power?
Power? Power? You wanna see power, bud? Both sides power. Oh, 400 ponies. Oh yeah! It's like the bald eagles are there, but the beaks are taped. Yep, and there you have it. Bone stock, fresh off the delivery truck. Sounds pretty lame, and we're gonna have to do something about that. We are hopping out here on the highway in Mexico.
You boys like Mexico? Yeah!
Going to do some Dragy pulls here. Bone stock setup, and we'll just see what she can do. So anyways, we're using a Dragy to be able to monitor our 0 to 60 time, 1/8 mile time we're gonna do. We'll probably just stick to that, 0 to 60 and then 1/8 mile. What it is it's a GPS that you can buy, very, very accurate GPS that you can buy, download an app on your phone, and actually go kind of, yep, there we got it magneted up there to its base, right under the vent. And yeah, tiny little device, hooks up to your phone, super accurate GPS. It's set up kind of just for racing, but it's also nice for test and tune. So you can, we'll do a run stock, slam it down on the ground with some tires and wheels, not touch anything else, go do another run, see if we picked up any times. Same thing, we'll do the intake and exhaust, nothing crazy. Again, see if we gain anything. So it's just kind of a cool way to, that anyone at home can use to test, hey, this is what we did to the vehicle. Did it improve anything? Or maybe we lost a couple things. So yeah, but yeah, we'll get right to it here real quick. Once the traffic dies down, it's pretty busy in Mexico right now. Alrighty guys, here you have it. She looks like a whole different animal here. Phase 1 of the F-150 single cab build is complete. I'm gonna go kind of just a full walkthrough on exactly what we did to kind of get it looking like it does now, because phase 1 is honestly all about the looks, man. Before, you saw how ugly it was. Boom, this is kind of right what we were looking for. So, kind of like I said before, we're shooting for some paint match, just because ordering the low trim levels, you just got black bumpers and kind of just black everything. Obviously the wheels and tires were meh, but ended up having body shop paint match up the grill here, bumpers front and rear, which make a huge difference. Ended up having mirror caps and the door handles done, which look awesome. Also ended up picking up a set of Ford Performance badges to kind of accent the wheels, just because I knew we were shooting for some glossies on the wheel side of things, so I think that turned out pretty awesome. Some people will paint match those emblems too, but I just kind of wanted it to kind of complement the wheels there. So, another looked past upgrade was the antenna. Factory Ford antennas just swaying in the wind. Got to get rid of that. Little 7-inch shorty recon on there. Looks, well, honestly a lot better just with little things like that. Wheel and tire setup, 22 Nichi vices. Looks sweet. Had to do the 22s, boys. Come on now. Eventually, like I said, when you know we start throwing some actual power at this, we're gonna I'll get a drag pack for it. But for now, it's about the looks, baby. We need 22s and we need some wides. So yeah, 305 40 22s, perfect fit with the lower. Actually, it's a little bit bigger tire than what came on your factory, which is, you know, crazy, and quite a bit wider, just being that we lowered it so much, and you can still fit a good sized tire in there. So I guess just a quick run through on the suspension itself, because I've had the pleasure of being able to put a couple hundred miles on it already, and man, oh man, totally different animal. This thing is fun to drive. We normally just do lifted stuff. Haven't actually even had, you know, the honor to lower something like this yet, but after taking this thing for a few spins, pounding some corners, awesome, a whole different animal. But the kit I ended up going with is a Ride Tech kit, which, you know, is kind of best in the biz for, you know, all sorts of reasons, but kind of a full-blown kit itself, Ride Tech is, like I said, probably one of the best in the biz, and this is why. Complete kit instead of ordering a bunch of different parts from a bunch of different companies. You can just order one kit that's got everything you want. We ended up doing a coilover setup in the front, adjustable, and the shocks themselves are actually Fox shocks that are valved by Ride Tech, so it's kind of, you know, designed for the kit itself, which is always a smart thing to do. And then aftermarket tubular upper control arms, which help keep the pitch and angle of everything right where you need it to be. Also helps you get the alignment right where you need it to be too. So that turned out sweet. Now the rear is where it got kind of fancy, which is funny because normally when we're lifting stuff, the front's kind of where we get fancy. The rear isn't anything too complex. I noticed when we lower this stuff, it's actually simple up front, complex in the rear. And kind of my fault just because I knew I was going to end up tracking this at some point, and I just wanted more of a sporty setup, something that would get awesome traction. So the Ride Tech setup that I went with in the rear is fully optioned out, along with an added set of traction bars and then an added sway bar in the rear to help it handle awesome when hitting the corners. So it might be a little bit tough to see, but I wanted to show you kind of a completed setup with it on the truck. And you can see a little bit from it back here. That's going to be the sway bar kit there, which is a pretty cool setup. One thing I did leave on here, but I'll probably end up upgrading in the future when we get a drag pack and this thing's really pushing some ponies, is I'll probably end up relocating the rear shocks just to have a better angle and control over the rear axle once we do start doing some good launches and whatnot. But for now, with the way it sits and what's done to it, this is a pretty good daily driver setup here. So, and the thing I really loved about the Ride Tech kit here versus throwing a bunch of other companies together and doing like Caltrax and whatnot for the traction bars is the Ride Tech kit actually has a bracket assembly that runs the traction bars on top of the leaf springs, which to me was a big deal because you're already super low on clearance. You can see down here how low this composite overload spring sits to the ground already. If you were trying to run a traction bar setup down there, man, oh man, you'd be scraping on some stuff. We're up here in northern country, so the roads ain't necessarily great. So running a traction bar setup over the springs like that will really help keep things in check. And actually, it's kind of a cantilever setup, so you can run without tension, and as soon as that axle gets some torque on it and twists the single spring, it'll bump stop the cantilever, and that's when it applies. So it's nice because so you don't lose ride quality as well, standard versus having a set of traction bars that are cranked tight because you know you're going to want them tight so nothing's moving. In this case, you actually want a little bit of give in the axle until it hits that set point, and then she's rock solid from there. So just kind of a really cool setup. It's exactly what I wanted, and after driving it, it is exactly, you know, what I was hoping out of it, which is an awesome ride. So like I said, it's actually a simple setup. Install wasn't horrible, but you know, I thought it was kind of funny how in the front, basically pretty simple, nothing crazy going on there, and in the rear is where you really start adding a lot of components. So one thing we did, which I'm kind of anxious to see, and I'll tell you kind of what I think is going to happen, and then we'll see what's going to happen. So we did do a Dragy run of this truck, bone stock, basically from a dig, no boosted, you know, no brake launching or nothing, just straight up smack the pedal and go. We're going to do a run with this setup, not changing anything, no intake, no exhaust, just bone stock, everything with the suspension and tires and wheels. What I think is going to happen is I think we're going to see a quicker 60-foot time, but I think it's actually going to taper a little bit slower than factory from there out. And the reason I think that is because this set of tires and wheels was heavy. It's a heavy set. It's a 22-inch wheel, and they got some weight behind them. Some of your higher-end wheels are going to be a lot lighter, but honestly, when I throw a drag pack on here, that's when we're going to notice a big deal. I mean, honestly, we'll probably be 20, 30 pounds a piece lighter switching to a drag pack. So I'm not necessarily worried about the weight of this, but I'm curious to see, and we're going to show you what the differences actually make. I think we'll get better traction from a combination of tires and wheel setup that's on here and the track bars. So I think you'll see a better 60-foot. But like I said, the added weight on the truck, I think is where you're going to start to see it maybe taper off. Could be wrong though. I'm curious to see what it looks like. But anyways, yeah, it was cool. First lowered setup we've done like this. It ended up, I said before, a 3.5 drop is the plan. I ended up going all out, lowest settings I could do, and it ended up actually dropping the front 3.5 and the rear 6. Now a lot of people that want a daily something like this probably would be a better route to go 3 and 5. Just so you have a little more clearance, but I think it looks absolutely phenomenal for a lowered truck. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments too, but we'll end up doing that Dragy run and we'll throw them and let's see what they do for times. Alrighty guys, we just got wrapped up with the Dragy run after the suspension, tires, and wheels were done. And honestly, kind of did what I was thinking, you know. I'll run over some times with you here. We'll post the videos too. I'm sure you've watched them. Let's see here. 60-foot times between bone stock and then suspension, tires, and wheels. We were actually only 100th faster with the suspension, tires, and wheels. And that's kind of what I was thinking. I thought it would have maybe been a little bit quicker. We had a little bit of wheel spin going on. I didn't drop the tires down or nothing, kept them at standard road pressure. We are on the 22, so it's not like it's, you know, there's a ton of sidewall there to flex or anything like that. And we did two-wheel drive, you know, in both runs. I wanted it to be comparable for anyone that would have been normally running their truck. Obviously, not everyone's putting it in four-wheel drive every time they step on it. So I just wanted it to be kind of like a normal, what your everyday person would be doing. So 60-foot times, 100th second or faster, pretty much dead even. 0 to 60, about a tenth, a little over a tenth of a second slower with the tire and wheel setup. 1/8 mile, we're 3,000 slower with the tires and wheels. And honestly, though, a little bit faster mile per hour, 1/10 of a mile per hour faster. 1,000 foot, 200ths behind, but again, going about 3/10 of a mile an hour quicker. And then 1/4 mile, which is kind of hard to gauge because this thing governs out right at about 100 anyways. So right about there is kind of where we're hitting a wall, but same exact time crossing the 1/4 mile between bone stock and this suspension, tire, and wheel setup, and actually about a 1/2 mile per hour quicker, or I should say faster. So that being said, pretty good. That's kind of what we were thinking. It's kind of cool because I think a lot of what we lost with the weight of tires and wheels, just because like I was explaining, these tires and wheels are so much heavier with these 22s than the factory little 17s with some donuts on there. I think what we lost just in that rotating mass, we kind of gained just in the suspension geometry. So the times weren't really far off. And as far as I'm concerned, it didn't really affect a whole lot with how fast the power it has or anything like that. Now, this thing corners and tracks corners, you know, and just feels a whole lot more planted with the suspension on it. So time-wise, or if you wanted to go out and hit some quick corners, stuff like that, definitely way more effective. But you're not necessarily losing anything on your straight line power by doing this suspension, tires, and wheels. So it was kind of cool to see. Cool, we got the Dragy to kind of compare different things like that. But now that phase 1 is complete, we're going to do a couple more items, little add-ons that your everyday person would be doing too. Affordable stuff, your intake, exhaust. We're going to try it out, not touch computer tuning at all, and just see if we pick anything up. Because a lot of you guys, that's kind of a, like I said, more economical way of maybe getting a better sound and maybe getting a little bit more power out of your vehicle. We're just going to see, hey, do you actually gain anything, or are we just spending money for sounds? Now, even if we're just spending money for sounds, gonna happen, right? Come on. These things actually sound halfway decent factory, but, if you can make her louder with a couple add-ons and maybe gain a little bit of power, why wouldn't you? So stay tuned for phase 2. We'll get that stuff wrapped up and show you what you can do.